Hello everyone, welcome back to Savi tutorial on Fluid Mechanics and Hydraulic Machines Laboratory. Today we are discussing an experiment on determination of coefficient of discharge for a Venturi flume. So the aim of the experiment is to determine the coefficient of discharge for a given Venturi flume. The operators are Venturi flume setup, stopwatch, hook gauge or a point gauge, rotometer, etc. So let us see what is Venturi flume. The Venturi flume is a structure constructed across an open channel for measuring the discharge, which is same as a Venturi meter. So Venturi meter is also used to determine the rate of flow, that is discharge. So the Venturi flume is also a structure which is used to measure the discharge. It consists of a throat section formed by converging side and the diverging side. So it will be having the same parts as of the Venturi meter, like it will be having converging part, it will be having converging part, diverging part and the throat section. So and here, so in case of Venturi flume, the flow will be a subcritical flow. So subcritical flow means where the Froude number. So based on the Froude number, we are going to classify the flow as critical, subcritical and supercritical. So if the Froude number is less than 1, then it is called a subcritical. If it is equal to 1, it is called critical. And if it is greater than 1, it is called supercritical flow. So whatever the water which flows through the Venturi flume, so the flow is a subcritical flow. And so let us see the procedure now. So step-by-step procedure. So how to determine the coefficient of discharge? So first, what you have to do is, so you have to keep the channel for a required flow, and after that, so you have to fix the Venturi flume inside the channel, and after that, so you have to make sure that Venturi flume, there should not be any leakages. Okay, so after fitting the Venturi flume inside the channel, there should not be leakage through the sides of the Venturi flume. So when you fix the Venturi flume inside the channel, what happens? There will be leakages on the sides of the channel. So due to the not, it is not properly attached. So that should not be happen. So you should, take care that so the Venturi flume is attached inside the channel in such a way that there is no leakages on the sides of the channel. Okay. So and after fixing the Venturi flume inside the channel, so what you have to do is you have to switch on the pump and allow the water to flow through the channel. Okay. And also before that, you should note down the given data, like the width of the Venturi flume at the inlet. As I told you, I'll show you the figure next. So how the Venturi flume will be looks like. So you have to note down the dimensions of the Venturi flume. That is, so the width of the Venturi flume at the inlet and at the throat. Okay. So after noting down the values, so then what you have to, one more point you have to keep it in mind is, see, so there should not be no hydraulic jump. So no hydraulic jump should be formed in the channel. So there should no obstruction. So once you switch on the pump, the water will flow through the channel, and while flowing, there should not be any obstruction for the flow. So if any obstruction is present, then it will form a hydraulic jump. So you should make sure that so there is no hydraulic jump formed on the channel once the water flows through it. So after that, switch on the pump, when you vary the discharge, when you open the valve, so water will flow through the channel. So the first thing what you have to do, you will be having a point gauge. So the operators I have told you, so you'll be having a Venturi flume setup. So where you will be having a point gauge to measure the head of water. So you have to measure the height of water at inlet. So you're going to take two readings. One is the height of water at the inlet, which is taken to be H1, and at the throat is taken to be H2. So you're going to take two readings, H1 and H2, which are height of water at the inlet and at the throat using the point gauge. So after that, after taking H1 and H2, so next what happens, the same water will flow through the channel and gets collected in the fall down to the collecting tank. So for the same trial, so you have to record the time, okay, for a known raise of water inside the collecting tank. You have to note down the how much time the collecting tank has been taken to raise a 5 centimeter head of water or 10 centimeter head of water. So where the piezometer will be fixed inside the collecting tank. Okay, so piezometer is used to measure the rise of water. Okay, so once 5 centimeter or 10 centimeter head of water has been raised inside the collecting tank, so you have to note down the time taken by that collecting tank to raise a 5 centimeter head of water. And so using a stopwatch, and please make sure that before taking the time, you have to close the exit valve of the collecting tank, so which is also called as butterfly valve. You have to close the butterfly valve, then only the water will collect in the collecting tank. Okay, so you have to note down the time. So by noting down the time, so you can calculate the actual discharge, and you have to repeat this experiment for a different head of water. So next what you have to do is, so you have to vary the head, so you have to increase the discharge, and you have to repeat the procedure, like you have to select H1 and H2 new readings for the second trial, and similarly for the second trial you have to note down the time and you have to do the calculation. So this is the a step-by-step procedure, so what you have to do. So next, let us see the observation and calculation. So what are the observation and calculation when it comes to this Venturi flume experiment? So first of all, so you're going to note down the data, that is area of the collecting tank, capital A, in terms of meter square. So you're going to measure the dimensions of the collecting tank. So if it is mentioned in the directly in the experimental setup, so you can take area of the collecting tank directly from the experimental setup. So in case of specification, so they'll mention this area of the collecting tank. If it is not mentioned, just measure the width and length of the collecting tank. So there, and afterwards you can calculate the area. So that is width into length. And the acceleration due to gravity, G is 9.81 meter per second square. And the other data, what you have to note down is width of the channel. That is, as I have mentioned in the while telling the procedure itself, you have to note down the width of the channel at the inlet, which is taken to be B1, and width of the channel at the throat, that is B2. Okay, you have to note the B1 and B2. So you can see the setup. See, this is how the Venturi flume will look like exactly your Venturi meter. So you'll be having a converging section and throat section and diverging section. Okay, so where this is the inlet, so here you're going to measure the width of the channel, that is B1, and another one is B2, that is width of the channel at the throat. So these two, B1 here and B2 here. So these two readings you're going to note it down, and after that again you're going to measure the H1 and H2, that is the head of the water inside the channel, that is at inlet and at the throat at the same section. So you're going to take the values of H1 and H2. Okay, so this is the how the Venturi flume will be there. So this is our observation. So let us see the calculation. What are the formulas required to calculate the coefficient of discharge? So you know the coefficient of discharge is the ratio of actual discharge to the theoretical discharge. Yes, right? So actual discharge and theoretical discharge. So first we'll see what is the formula to calculate the theoretical discharge. So you know the formula for a Venturi meter. So the same formula is used to calculate the theoretical discharge through the Venturi flume. That is Q theoretical is equal to, so A1, A2, square root of root 2g h1 minus h2, which is nothing but the head loss h, divided by square root of a1 square minus a2 square. So the same formula is used here to calculate the theoretical discharge. So where a1, a2 is the area of the water at inlet and at the throat. Okay, so that is you are going to record b1 and b2. Yes, right, that is width of the channel at the inlet and at the throat. Okay, so a1 is b1 into h1. Anyway, you're going to record the h1 and h2 values, that is the height of water at inlet and at the throat. So you're going to get it a1 and a2 different for different trials. So a1 is b1 into h1, a2 is b2 into h2. So that is in meter square. And h1, h2 anyway you will get it. So once you get a1, a2, so you can calculate theoretical discharge using this formula. As I told, B1 is the width of the channel at inlet and B2 is the width of the channel at throat, and H1 is the height of water at inlet and H2 is the height of water at throat. Okay. So once you get the theoretical discharge, so the next parameter you're going to calculate is the actual discharge. So the actual discharge is calculated using the formula A into R divided by T, where capital A is your area of the collecting tank, okay, and R is the rise of water inside the collecting tank. It is like 10 centimeter, or as I told, 10 or 5 centimeter. So 10 centimeter, which is 0.1 meter, and T is the time taken to raise this 10 centimeter or 0.1 meter of water in the collecting tank. So that data also you're going to record. So from that data, you'll get the actual discharge. So once you get the actual and the theoretical discharge, so coefficient of discharge is calculated using the formula CD is equal to Q actual divided by Q theoretical. So from that, you will get the coefficient of discharge. So for each trials, okay. So if you see the tabular column, so the tabular column lies like this. So you have number of trials. So you're going to conduct 3 trials, and the height of water at the inlet, that is H1, you are going to record. Okay, that is the height of water at the inlet, H1 values, and H2 is the height of water at the outlet is nothing but at the throat. So you will get for each trial, you will get H1, H2, H1, H2, H1, H2 different. Okay, for the different trial, for first trial the values are different, and for the second trial it is different. So once you get this H1 and H2, so you can calculate this Q theoretical using the formula. So that is A1 A2 root 2G H1 minus H2 divided by square root of A1 square minus A2 square. So after that, the collecting tank reading, what you're going to record, that is rise of water, R is nothing but your point, that is 10 centimeter, 0.1 meter. Okay, so which remains same for all the trials, and the time is going to different for different trials. So time you're going to vary for all the trials. So but the R remains same, that is 0.1 meter. So from these two data R and T, you can calculate the actual discharge, that is Q actual is equal to A into R by T. So in terms of meter cube per second. So once you get this actual discharge and theoretical discharge values, so you can calculate the coefficient of discharge, ratio of. So coefficient of discharge is calculated using the ratio of actual discharge to the theoretical discharge. So you will get different values of CD. So if you take, you have to take the average of all these 3 trials. So you will get the, so CD for the Venturi film. So that is the coefficient of discharge for the Venturi film. So that average value will be the coefficient of discharge for the given Venturi flume. So and the result is, so the result is going to be the coefficient of discharge for a given Venturi meter. So if you see here, so this is how the experimental setup will be there. Okay, so first you have to, what you have to do is, you have to switch on the pump. So here there is a green color button, you have to switch on this pump. So that is the first step. So, and here, if you see the experimental setup, so you have the specification here. So in the specification itself, you will be having width of the channel at the inlet and width of the channel at the throat. And after that, even you'll be having a area of this collecting tank. See, this is the collecting tank, and this is a sump where the water is stored, and this is a channel. And you can see here you have a point gauge or a hook gauge to measure the height of water through that venturi flume. So to measure H1 and H2. And if this specification is not there, what you do is you measure the width and length to get the area of the collecting tank, and also measure the dimensions of the venturi flume at inlet and at the throat. Okay. So after that, so after switching on the pump, what happens? So you need to, so whatever this red color valve is there, so using that you have to vary the discharge. So then the water will start flowing inside the channel. Okay, so once you vary this discharge, so the water will get flowing through the channel, and after that, so you have to measure H1 and H2 values. Okay, using that point gauge, so you have to measure H1 and H2, that is at the inlet and at the throat. So once you record H1 and H2, so the same water is going to flow and collected in the collecting tank. So this is a collecting tank. So where you have a butterfly valve here, so you have to close this butterfly valve. So once you close this butterfly valve, so the water will get collected in the collecting tank. And you have a piezometer here. See, this is a piezometer. Okay, so once the water starts collecting, so you have to note down the time. So that is for a 10 centimeter rise of water, what is the time taken? Okay, so using a stopwatch, you're going to record the time taken. So once you've taken the time for a 10 centimeter rise of water, so next what you have to do is, so you have to open this. So you have to open this butterfly valve, then water will flow again into the sump. So it will flow back into the sump. Then again, what you have to do is you have to increase the discharge. So using this discharge valve, so you have to increase the discharge, then again the water will flow through the channel. So, and using a point gauge, you have to measure new H1 and H2, that is for the second trial, and the same water will flow through the collecting tank, and so you have to record the time. So again the process repeats for different discharge values. Okay, and once you get those values H1 and H2 and the time, okay, so you are going to calculate the actual theoretical discharge from H1 and H2, actual discharge from the time taken and the rise of water. So once you get theoretical and the actual discharge, so you are going to calculate the coefficient of discharge. So that is coefficient of discharge is equal to ratio of actual discharge to the theoretical discharge, Q actual to the Q theoretical. So using this, so you will get the coefficient of discharge through a venturi flume. Thank you all. So we'll just see the next experiment in the next video.